Happy Friday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. Well, we're back from Marathon Weekend 2025, and we're going to talk about our thoughts on staying at Coronado Springs, running the 5K, the 10K, the half marathon, and the full, completing my 9th Dopey Challenge, my 10th Walt Disney World Marathon. Lots of great dining, lots of great fun with friends down at Walt Disney World, thoughts on the expo, and of course changes out for the races and much more. Scott and Pam are here on the show. They've been down for many marathon weekends, so they have thoughts as well. Lots of fun talk on today's show. Don't forget, today's podcast is brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure for no additional cost to you. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys make the show possible. We could not do this without you. You can support us as well, just $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd love to have you. Patreon.com/beourguestpodcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2626 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from beourguestpodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Friday to you. Hope you're getting ready for a great weekend here in January. Hey, it's natty time for college football fans on Monday, so get ready for that. Notre Dame fans, Ohio State fans. I know, what are our SEC fans going to do? I mean, it's kind of a weird weekend, but, it was weird because this is, for all of us that always run marathon weekend, typically if you fly home on Monday, that's the day that the national championship game happens, usually on the plane ride home. Yeah, didn't happen this year. We got a week delayed. So get ready. All of our college football will happen on Monday. And we got, of course, all the NFL playoff games this weekend. Scott's got his Lions playing. They're on a roll. So we'll see how that goes. But we're here to recap some running. And Walt Disney, if you're not a running fan, don't go away. Don't go sprinting away from the podcast. We're going to talk dining. We're going to talk theme parks. We're going to talk Coronado Springs. I have lots of fun stories. We're going to talk Outer Rim over at the Contemporary. We got lots to talk about, so let's do this. Pam Forrester's here. She's the co-owner of the Magic for Less Travel. Pam, happy Friday. What's going on? I missed you this weekend. What's up?
Happy Friday. So when you said it's natty time, I'm like, the first thing that clicked in my mind was Natty Light.
Exactly.
Like,
I don't drink beer.
Like,
I don't drink beer, and I would not drink that stuff. Nope.
Why is it natty time? Yeah. Where is it natty time? I want to avoid wherever this is. I'm not a fan of this. So
in a marathon, though, at mile 25, you probably drink a Natty Light. I'm just guessing.
Well, probably. I don't think you aren't super discerning at that point, right?
Dude, on Western Way, you would drink anything. I'm just saying.
Yeah, dude, you're just like, whatever.
Western Way, dude, you are just rethinking life on Sunday. You're like, dude, why did I do this again? But you do.
Too funny. But yes. So I know we had some college football, some happy folks and some not so happy folks after last weekend. So it is what it is.
Isn't that how it always goes? That's how it always goes. Also joining us, we have Scotty G, your friend of mine. He is back and excited for his Lions. Dan Campbell, he's excited to have him in the, part of the bandwagon. You're not bandwagoner. You've been with him since birth, right? You're
bandwagon. Come on, man.
No, you're the opposite of bandwagon.
I used to wear those paper masks that said Lions fans on them, with just the eyeball sticking.
You mean like the old paper grocery bags? Yeah, dude. Yeah. That means you're
That's
in.
What we did.
Totally.
And you were a fan, but you didn't actually want to necessarily sometimes admit that you were. I'm a lifelong Lions fan. My favorite team there is. So yeah, this is a lot of fun. A couple of quick things. Natty Light and Uncrustables. I think that's the official marathon Be Our Guest podcast.
Yes.
And then I love playing around with the numbers of the podcast episodes. So you said 2026. I heard 2000 Stitch because 626 is Stitch. So
That
this
is
a
right.
Stitch episode today.
Yes.
Right.
Little Lilo and Stitch action. God, we've done too many shows. That
Right?
is.
That's
This
a
is-
lot of episodes. And some of those don't even, some of your old live shows, right, aren't even counted.
No,
some of
we're
those.
way over 2,700 episodes at this point.
It's
It's
crazy.
crazy. So
You've been part of every one, Mike.
I know. It's crazy. And so I'm going to get into this on today's show. Obviously, I'll be doing a lot of talking because I was down there, but I want to get your thoughts on this because you guys have been to many, many marathon weekends and you know how these all go. But I want to start this off by saying, this was a way different trip for me. And I kind of talked about this on Wednesday. Without Scott being there, without my family being there, without Pam and Steve and like Wade being there, I was absolutely solo this time. This is the first time for Marathon Weekend I've been totally solo. Because if I'm not with my wife and without Paige and Mallory, Scott's always been there. Pam, you guys have been there many, many times, but this time I really wasn't. So it was a very different experience, but it was still a fun experience. I mean, you can see my pictures on Instagram, and I made a couple of reels, like kind of mini movies, kind of a cheap way to make a movie. Lots of smiles, and I had a blast. I mean, this was a ton of fun this weekend, and you'll find out in the end of the show that I had a blast. I mean, it was just it was a hoot and a half. I mean, it could have gone two ways, and it went the good way. It was a blast. So I want to thank every person who came up and said, hey, and let me tell you too, and I got to tell Ricky when I see her again, she's going to be back. She had to take care of Lucy because we had to switch
Pastor
the days
Brian.
to record. Yeah. Preacher Brian. Yeah. Looking
Preacher
good.
Brian.
How about that in a robe? And that he official. Did you see that picture on Instagram?
That guy tried to
Brian.
sneak a knife in Epcot. Just saying. No.
He did. I know. Seriously. Preacher Brian tried to sneak a knife in Epcot back in the day. Boy, if things changed. I mean, you
He
got to
didn't
make
actually
amends.
try to sneak one in.
No, but I actually saw a guy try to do that during the race. He had a knife on him too, but I'm not going to call him out. Anyway, what's it talking about? I wanted to say though, thank you to everybody who came up and said hello. Guys, our show, people listen to our show because so many people came up and said, hey, that they listen to our podcast. It's crazy. I still think, and because I am right now in my basement, as you guys are at your house, right? You're not in your basement, but you're in your studios, wherever, you're in Michigan, Pam, you're in Pittsburgh. I'm sitting here, as far as I think when I record this show, nobody's listening to me because I'm in the middle of Missouri in 12 inches of snow, a foot outside my house here. Nobody's listening. Just a weirdo talking Disney, talking running. As I walked around Walt Disney World for 5 days this past week, so many people would see me on a bus, and, in the corrals and what have you, and just say, I listen to that show. Like, I know that show. I know Pam. I know Pam's story. I know Scotty. I love Scotty G. He's hilarious. Scott, you get all the love. People love Scott G. Ricky, I love hearing about
I'm just
Lucy. I
here.
love it's so funny because you don't think about that many people listening to the podcast, but people do listen to our show. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming up and saying hello. It would have been all of us if we'd all been there, but I was just kind of the person who was there. And I'm super tall. And, one of the races I ran is a giant hot dog, so it's easy to find. But just thank you for making my experience that much better by coming up and saying hello. And, we got to take the selfies and all that kind of stuff. It was so much fun. So thank you for that. Also, I want to preface this weekend by saying that I got to have some perspective, and I think that this helped me have a better experience. Pam, I got to say this because with what Steve went through at Thanksgiving, it kind of helped me reset that I've taken a lot of these marathon weekends kind of for granted. Like, you sign up for them, you do them, and it's just kind of like, I think for us, it's kind of just like what we do in January, right? Because we've been doing this for so long. We've been doing this since 2015. Like, that's my first marathon. 2016 was my first dopey. And then you just do it. 2017, 2018, 2019. And then we got it, didn't get to do it we did it in 2020, but 2021 was shut down for COVID. But this year when I went down, I really thought about it, and I thought, it's not just something we should take for granted. Like, when I was out there for the 5, the 10, the half, and the full, I was like, this is a privilege that we get to do. And we should be able to always think about this, that you know, there are going to be some hard times. Yes, Sunday was hard, you know, running 26 miles, Scott knows. And there's a lot of suck in the marathon, but there's a lot of good times at the end. You know, there's good times during the race too. You know, there's character meets, there's people that cheer you on. You see a lot of cool stuff during the race, but it's hard. But, you know, I think the thing that I remembered was we get to do this, you know, and that's a perspective that I took in, because I know that Steve's going through a lot, and that I think Steve's incredible journey over the past month, 6 weeks, really gave me perspective. So I just want you to pass that on to Steve, that he really helped me dig down on Sunday, because I got to do this. And I think we should all think about that when we come into challenges, that we get to do things like this. I was appreciative.
I think the perspective is awesome. I'm so glad that just hearing about it, you know, gives other people that perspective too, because I will say, like, I'm always proud of Steve for so many reasons. And if you've met him, you just know he's just that kind of person. He's just a calming person. He is, you know, really sort of the rock in our family, just because he just is. You know what I mean? There always is someplace, and everyone has their skills. I mean, I get that, you know, but that's just how it is. But I will say, one of the things I'm proud of, and I'm proud of him and for myself too, I have not throughout this whole thing asked why this happened. I think that we both really just realized that things do happen, right? And it wasn't really a why. It was more that what am I supposed to get from this? What am I supposed to be learning from this? What is the lesson I'm supposed to take with me? How am I supposed to use this to help keep improving as a person? And I'll get tearful about it, because it's something that I've thought about a lot. But I just, you know, every day you have opportunities to sort of let yourself be influenced, right? And you can always choose to let that influence be a positive thing for you and other people. And I just hope that that's what continues to happen. That, you know what I mean? That's what I continue to do as I go through life, is just to not ask things like, why did this happen, or this is really horrible, or any of those things. Because in the end, what really matters is, what I have control over is how I react to something. What he has control over is how he reacts and what he can do right now. And he's doing all those things. So in some ways it seems weird to say this, but it has been sort of a pleasure to see how he has moved through this experience. So,
well, I can just tell you that I drew tons of inspiration from Steve over the weekend, because I know he's been going through just, you know, the worst of physical pain and recovery, and just working super hard. And, you know, as I was going down, because I mean, the thing is, like, the marathon, we sign up for this and it is fun. I enjoy the running. Like, I'm kind of an idiot like that, but I mean, you know, Western Way is not fun. Like that mile, like 17 to 22, like there's a stretch there that you just know, or like, you know, when you're leaving Animal Kingdom and you know, you just got to make it to the studios, you got to get past Blizzard Beach parking lot. And if you ran that part of the marathon, you know what I'm talking about. It just stinks. You just got to make it to the studios. And I was thinking about this, and there was another listener, she knows who she is. And we went back, I'll say this one time for you, War Eagle. She has a kid at Auburn. And we went back and forth. We stayed together from before going into Animal Kingdom on Sunday. So over 15 miles, we went back and forth. She listens to the show. And we didn't talk to each other, because I don't talk to people when I run, because I just can't. It's nothing I can do is just to walk, just to run. Like, I can't talk to anybody. I just run. I get in my zone, and she's the same way. But we went back and forth. Like, but we never got like maybe 10 or 15 yards like away from each other. And, you know, we got to that last hill where you go up the hill over World Drive as you're getting ready to hit the studios, to turn right into the studios. And I reached over, I leaned over to her and I said, "This is the last hill." I said, "This stinks, but it's the last hill. And then we're in the clear. We're going to make it to the studios, and we're going to have fun, and we're going to finish this sucker." And we smiled at each other, and we said, "We're never running a marathon again." She said, "You're dang right." We both looked at each other. We said, "We are never doing this again. This stinks." And Because man, we had just survived Western Way, but that's the kind of the camaraderie on the course of a marathon weekend because we were both finishing up a dopey. We're like, this is so dumb. Like, why did we do this? And we're like, we just got to make it up that hill because that hill looked like a mountain at that point because we just passed Coronado Springs, going up that hill in front of the Swan Reserve, right there, and just like, oh god, what are we doing? We saw Michael from St. Louis there at the top of the hill. We just all looked like we looked like death warmed over, and it wasn't even hot. You know, the weather was great, but you know, it's one of those things, just camaraderie out there. But again, I just kept drawing, you know, strength from Steve's journey, and I just wanted to know that he means he's like a brother to all. You know, Scott and I, we've had so many great experiences together, and just you know, when I thought about,
so I was looking at like posts. I was living down memory lane this weekend because like I wasn't there, so I was like, and I've been doing this weird like on this day thing, like clearing out duplicate photos, kind of clean my catalog a little bit, so then I see all these old photos, and I was thinking about Steve and Pam a lot, you know, and Hannah too. Like I would see all those photos because you guys were like the original like cheer squad, you know.
Yes.
Like, I love Hannah and Steve were their like worst parade ever.
yes, yes.
And those photos kept popping up. There's one with me, Mike, and Paige. We're in our like Toy Story costumes, and you all are there at the boardwalk with your sign, like, and then you're at Epcot with your signs. Like you guys like traveled all over the place. We did these races, and it made me. I was thinking about Steve a lot this weekend too, from a different perspective. It's like, man, I miss these guys, and I can't wait to see you all again. I know this isn't necessarily the Steve episode, but like I just want to get on the Steve bandwagon because he's my boy, and I love him so much, and I'm so glad that he's doing better and recovering from all this. But yeah,
he's gonna like that he has an episode actually.
Right?
He deserves one.
Is he a Stitch fan? Because this is like the Stitch episode. Remember?
No, this is the marathon weekend episode.
Yeah, it is.
That's right.
So to kind of hit, because I know people want to like, they're going to see this marathon weekend. So let's kind of hit the details. So I stayed at Coronado. Let me just say, Coronado is I love Coronado. I think we can all agree we like staying there regardless of whether it's a race weekend or not. It suited my needs perfectly for this race weekend. I was there solo. I stayed in the ranchos. I shared the story on Wednesday about just carrying the world's strongest man, the sodas and Gatorades and peanut butters, all from the business center. So we don't have to recap that. That was a long hike. But other than that, it was fine. Casitas would have been prime. Ranchos were fine, though, because I was right next to bus stop number 3, which was the second on the loop, which worked out great because every morning the bus comes around to pick you up to take you to the starting line. Great, man. It was just right outside my room. It was perfect. My room was great. I loved it there. I had dinner twice at Rick's. I just walked because, again, solo. There's my only 2 table service meals. Scott, you would have died. I only had 2 table service meals while I was there, both at Rick's. I just walked to the bar and just ordered right there at the bar because it was 2 nights of college football games were on, Thursday and Friday night. But I mean, I didn't see the games. Basically, I just watched game day because I just wanted to go to bed. But I had a steak sandwich with waffle fries right at the bar with a Coke Zero. God, that steak sandwich there rocks at Rick's. If you need something good, it's really good. But then I just ate counter service the rest of the weekend. But man,
did you make your way to the Barcelona lounge for a cafe bonbon?
I did never go to I never went to Barcelona lounge. I didn't spend any time in the tower. I never really went over to the tower too much, except for Bell Services. It was just weird. I mean, I was just over there because I went to El Mercado and I had breakfast sandwiches there a couple times. Got some desserts there. I forgot what I had there.
So a question for you, because it was pretty chilly this weekend, right?
It was. Yeah. It was chilly for Florida.
So did you see any Midwesterners, people from Pittsburgh, Michigan, in the pools at all? Like, were they still taking advantage?
There were people in the pools. There were because I rode the Skyliner a few times, and so there were people in the quiet pools at Caribbean Beach, and I was just like, whew, dude. Because the thing is, the pools are heated, so everybody knows pools are heated at Walt Disney World. But man, I would have got hypothermia by the time I got to my room at the Ranchos. If I'd have got out of a pool, it was cold. Because because when we went to the corrals every morning, it was in either the low 40s or upper 30s. I mean, it was Florida cold. But the thing was, it was perfect running weather. Like when you got on the course and ran, if you were dressed right, it was So shout out to Craig Burnett down in Louisville. He Boston qualified on Sunday on the marathon. So I mean, the weather was. People were flying. I don't know if you saw George Reeves times. Scott, did you see George?
Yeah,
Dude,
he was flying out there.
flying. I mean, the lizards were moving. I mean, like
Just
when it
you
gets,
got to think his hair slows him down. a
dude,
little
that's
bit,
what I'm
too,
saying.
right?
He's got perfect hair. Exactly, dude. The hair just like flowing like
His
the
photos
gods.
like always turn out the best. He's like
Exactly.
Barney and How I Met Your Mother. Can't take a bad photo, you know. So.
Amen. But I mean, it's, you know, like when it gets cold in Florida, the iguanas fall out of the trees, like the lizards just ka-chow is moving. So yeah, shout out to the lizards who were flying all over because the weather was great for running, but it was freezing in the corrals, man. It was really cold. But it was, you know, it is what it. And then the only bad weather we had, knock on wood, for the next event. So I'm sorry for Disney. Let's don't count Disneyland. Let's say for Princess, because I don't want. I'm going to Disneyland, so let's just don't jinx Princess. But we had a big old rainstorm right before the half on Saturday. It rained pretty good in the corrals, but that was the warm day. So at least it wasn't like in the 30s. It was 62 that morning and rain, but it stopped before we ran. So we all stood there in the corrals, waited. It poured. Most people had ponchos and stuff. I found out that people have like shoe covers, like Troy. See Troy on the lizards. He's like a police officer. He knows, right? He's smart, and he had like the whole like neoprene, like perfect poncho that like he was dry as like a bone. He was like a cactus under that thing. He had little slip covers on his shoes. He had it made. I had this like just wild poncho that like it started blowing, and I was soaked, but I tried. I gave effort. But so here's one thing I want to talk about real quick. So the Coronado, great place to stay. Ate at in Mercado a lot. Rick's a couple times. Room was great. The buses were awesome at Coronado. No problems. Great place to stay. The courses. 5K course, same, fun, ran as a hot dog, awesome. 10K course, love it. That's my favorite race of marathon weekend. Love the 10K course because you get to run around World Showcase, you get to run around the boardwalk. Love that.
Really quick on the 10K though, I got to give a shout out to Jared and Stacy, our great friends. They love to do the costumes, and they crush the costumes. We all have seen like their work, right? But their 10K costume, I have to give a call out to, is the best one I've ever seen them do. They were Alaska Cruise Minnie and Mickey. Like, you know, like the big puffer coat Minnie wears, and like the yellow like overalls that Mickey has, the flannel shirt. I know they're going on Alaska cruise in May, so that's probably why they did it. But it was the cutest Run Disney costumes I ever seen. So I had to give a call out to that. That was just perfect.
Now, so I haven't done costumes really except for the hot dog, and I've done like I put on some wings one time for Tinkerbell at Princess.
Oh, you did the wings, the Toy Story. We did
the Toy Story. Yeah, I did Buzz Lightyear. Yeah. But I mean, some of these people go like way out with the costumes. I mean,
they do.
But then they go like for the full marathon costume. Like my limit is a 5K. I can't, unless you have something super comfortable. You ran in the full Mickey on the full marathon.
I ran in a full
on
Mickey
the
costume
really
on the hottest race we've ever done.
Year.
Yeah, I wore the Mickey mitts the entire time. Oof.
So what advice do you have for people that costume up?
Just go. I mean, just have fun with it. I mean, that's what I was doing. I was just trying to have fun, you know, like it's the spectators that like, that's kind of what you're running for, right? Like, you're not going to put a costume on just to put a costume. You kind of want a little attention, right? Like you want some good photos and things like that. So you just embrace the moment. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to get this great photo doing this pose with this costume or whatever. You just kind of like think about that and like just seeing all the spectators and like showing off a little bit because like you look awesome, you know? So that's kind of what gets me going.
I was looking. I did want to say her name. Ashley was who I was going back and forth with on the marathon. That's what I was just looking for because I thought that was her
I like
name,
how you phrased that.
Yes.
That like she listens to the show.
I didn't want to get her name wrong because she got me to the end of the race because I did not want to walk and I didn't walk during the marathon, and it was because we were like
Crazy.
She kept me going, and but that moment when I looked over like we are never doing this again. She's like, nope. It's like we shared.
And this is why you and I don't run together anymore because I do walk.
Yes, Ashley runs Disney on Instagram. Yes, and we just said nope, never again. It was like because we're just like this is what do we do? It's one of those things like you got to be out there. We had a moment like this is not happening. This is terrible. But then when we gave our medals, it was all over. Like we're like, yes, this is the greatest thing ever. You know, it's hot. They should have the registration for the next year, like 50 feet from the finish line, and everybody would sign up again, 100%.
But I interrupted you on the 10K course. That's always my favorite
Love it.
Run Disney course. I love that distance so much. It's a great course.
Yep. So, but I do want to talk about the half and the full because this is why, because it was weird because they reversed them. So it really messes people up that have run many years for the half and the full, right? Because you're used to like, okay, if I make it here by, sunrise, or if I make it here by, X, you kind of, you know, like, okay, I'm safe, or I'm in a good spot. Throw all that stuff out this year because you were going like a totally different way and you didn't know what was going on. So
That's too bad, because you did that for me for my first full, like, because you had ran it the year before. So like we ran in 2016, my first full, your first dopey. You kind of coached me in a way, like, oh, like this is going to be coming up here, or like, so like I was like prepared for like certain things, and that's interesting that it was just new to everybody.
Yeah, well, when I first started doing it, my goal was always with the half marathon was always to be like to the Contemporary by sunrise. That was always like my goal, was like the Contemporary Magic Kingdom by sunrise was kind of my goal back then. I don't even know if that would have been what it was anymore. But anyway, this time they cut us loose, and the first thing we did was we ran through World Showcase, which was different.
That's
because used to, like, because remember back in the day, the crowds were like way out by Old Key West. It seemed like, like way out there. Now at least you start in the parking lot of Epcot, which is a way better thing. You just boom, you're right. You don't have to do that half a mile track.
Half mile walk.
I hated that. So that's gone. That's great. So you start right there in the parking lot, and boom, you go out on the road a little bit, and boom, you run World Showcase first thing, which is fun. Like you get to do Epcot right off the bat. But then we ran, boom, down a little bit you ran the back way, and you ran past the Polynesian Tower in the Grand Floridian.
Yeah, you went down Grand Floridian Way, because normally you come out of Magic Kingdom that way, but you're running to Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, you're running in that way on that side. Now, that road wasn't great because there's still some construction back there. It was a little gravelly. It was super dark. I mean, there were no lights back there. It was like sketch because it was kind of gravelly, and like you didn't know what you were stepping on. It kind of made me a little nervous because people were like flying around through it. I was just hoping like you don't want to twist an ankle or anything, but it was kind of crazy. But then you got into the Grand Floridian, you got to run across that, the walking path that you take from the Grand Floridian over to the Magic Kingdom. Now, the cool thing there was you got to cross that little pedestrian bridge by the Grand Floridian they built. And then once you went across there to that path kind of alongside the monorail tracks, they had the electrical water pageant out.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, right there. And the music was playing, the dun, 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 all that stuff. It was really cool. That was a nice touch. Then you went into the Magic Kingdom there from the Grand Floridian side. Instead of like coming from the buses, you went in from the Grand Floridian side, went up Main Street, just like always. Everybody's cheering you on. That's the best part, man. That's so cool. Like there's nothing like people cheering you on Main Street, man. I don't care how old you are, how many times you've done it. Nothing like it. But then instead of going to Tomorrowland, you went left into Adventureland. That was really cool. And
that's different, yeah.
Yep, then you ran through Frontierland and out down. Let's see, where did we go? I can't remember. So we went through Frontierland, then we went through the castle, and then we came through Tomorrowland and out through.
Well, you ran by like Small World on this race, didn't you? I think
because
that's where Kim was stationed.
Yeah, we did go through Small World.
Which we've never ran by that during a race. I feel like we've never been by that stretch in Fantasyland.
We did one of them. Did we do both of them? I know we did one of them because Kim was there one of the days.
I think it was the half because she was in Animal Kingdom for the full.
Yeah,
so I think it was the half.
But it
feels so weird.
Yeah, it was super interesting though how we got to do it backwards and go that way. And but it was interesting. I liked it that way. And then we left and went out on there. But I don't know if people liked it better.
Did you come back into Epcot at all on the half or no?
That was so we can get to that on the end of Sunday. So obviously, I'm trying to think if it was the same on Saturday because I get them all mixed up now. But it was the same on Saturday. So yes, you come back in, but you don't run World Showcase at the end. That was because Sunday is kind of the bigger deal, right? People were kind of mad about this, and I kind of was too.
You didn't run World Showcase?
You don't run World Showcase at the end of the marathon. Now that's a big womp womp, right? Because
oh my god, I'm about to lose it, man. I'm not signing up until they change the course.
Well, I guess you're not. Well, I don't know because we haven't seen the course for next year. But
that's true. You don't know the course.
You don't know until you sign up. But the course was fine. Here's the thing, though, because you leave the Magic Kingdom, right? And you go under the water bridge out in front of the Contemporary, and you go through the TTC is like at mile 11 or something. Then you do all that stuff out towards, you go through the TTC, and you're doing all that backwards, and you're going out towards Animal Kingdom at that point. But it did seem a lot easier doing it that way for some reason, like Because it seems like it takes forever to do all that parking lot, TTC, go under the water to get to the Magic Kingdom. It seemed easier to go back out and go towards Animal Kingdom. I don't know. They
on
did
the
this
on the full.
well,
Right,
yeah, on the full. Well, actually on the half too. But for the full, real quick, because this could go forever. But on the full, they did this really cool thing on that stretch, like towards Animal Kingdom, where it's just like nothing out there, and it's just basically kind of like a road and some trees on both sides. That's where they had the Star Wars characters. They had Chewbacca, they had Darth Vader. But what they did was they had smoke machines, and they had all the Star Wars like sound and music and stuff. And they had tons of fog machines, and they had lasers shooting out from the trees and Ewok sounds. So it's like choo 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 choo, and like I swore Ewoks are gonna pop out of those trees. It was awesome, dude. Like it's like in your mind's eye, you're already like at mile 15. You're already like dehydrated and like hallucinating. I swore like Wicket the Ewok was gonna come out and like stab me with like a stick or something. I was like, because Darth Vader was there, Chewbacca was there. I mean, one of those like 2-legged little AT-AT walkers was going to come and just like put me out of my misery. I didn't know.
Wow.
But it was really well done. Because I mean, there was, you're in the middle of like trees and nothing else because you're coming up to that recycling garbage plant where the buzzards are like circling.
Mm-hmm.
But that was kind of cool. I know that's always
It's great
ironic.
to get that in there.
Yeah. So the up to that point pretty much matched what the half course was, kind of, right?
Yeah. And the half just went back.
Now you're going to Animal Kingdom, which is kind of like how the old half used to be too, except you'd be going back.
Yeah, and then after this though, the full course was the same, right? You went past the water treatment. Well, except for the ending. Yeah, you went past the water treatment plant. You went into Epcot, the exact same, or at Animal Kingdom, the exact same way. Back in, kind of,
which feels like 5 miles.
Yeah,
it feels forever.
Here's the thing: I got to shout out Kim Taylor. Like, she was a rock star for our lizards this weekend. Like, she did tons. I mean, obviously it's her job, so she does a lot of work down there, and just what she does. But she was always on the Discord channel telling us where she's going to be, and she got the best pictures of our lizards. Like, I know she's getting the best pictures of everybody, but she told us exactly where she was going to be, and she would call us out on the course. I don't know how she saw us. I mean, we got bright colors, but she would call us out like way ahead of time, like, bye, bye, bye. And she did this for everybody. And she would take like a ton of us. Like, when you see the lizards pictures from like her spot where she was at Animal Kingdom or Small World, wherever she was those 4 mornings, she got nails pictures of the lizards. And so Kim, she's just a great friend. She's always been there for us for over 10 years, forever for our show. But I mean, she's just great at what she does, but she shined this weekend. So Kim, thank you. Thank you for capturing those pictures for us this weekend. You're the best out there for PhotoPass and what you do, but man, you made us look good. So she was awesome. So, so we ran through Animal Kingdom and then out, and obviously then you got that stretch, but oh man, dude, you leave.
Well, the thing for me, when I get to that stretch, it's like 2 hours later, so it's blazing hot normally, but not.
It wasn't hot though, because I mean, I ran in tights and like a thermal shirt under my lizard shirt the entire time. And it wasn't too bad. It was like 52 when I finished. But it was hot. I mean, I think I got only to 62 that day. But yeah, then you went on that long Western Way stretch, which is the worst, in front of Coronado. And then you got to the studios, which is fun. This time the chocolate was like a chocolate biscuit thing. It wasn't Dove chocolate. Or after you go up the Phantasmic Hill.
Now you said to our friend, like, hey, this is the last hill.
Ashley.
Did you have to do the hill up to the studios at all?
Well, so what I'm talking about is like, so if you leave Coronado Springs and you go towards World Drive, you got to go up like that. You got to go over World Drive. That's the hill where we said that to each other. Yeah. Where we're going over World Drive.
Sometimes there's that like steep hill to get into the studio.
No, that was before that. That one is really bad.
But that's normally where they used to give you the chocolate.
Yeah, that's where we got the chocolate. Yeah, we got the chocolate there. We got like little chocolate biscuits this time. It was weird. They're like little like British things. I didn't eat mine because, of course, there's a camera person right after there. So I've learned after like 8 years, don't eat your cookie till after the picture because Tower Terror's right there. Because you go around the corner, right, and boom, you're on Sunset Boulevard, and the Tower of Terror's right there. So they take your picture, and if you eat the chocolate, you got the chocolate in your teeth. And so
the studios probably wasn't even open, or was
it was open? Yeah. Well, we think I'm in the Olympics. So yeah, there were a lot of people on Sunset when I got there. So yeah, you're not, that's the one knock too, is that you're not, like, you're in the studios, like for like, a toenail. Like
You
that's
go
it.
down Sunset, and then you don't go Hollywood Boulevard. They put you
No,
backstage.
you're,
like, right
you're on
afterwards.
like 50 feet of Hollywood studios, and you go literally from like that bathroom by the Tower of Terror to that store
Yep.
on Sunset.
On the
I
corner.
mean,
there,
maybe
yeah.
it's like 200 yards. That's probably it.
It's
And
kind of
it's
unfortunate.
yeah,
but
it is. It's long enough to get you a picture in front of the Tower of Terror. That's really all it is. I mean,
Yep.
200 yards maybe. And then they spit you out. It is kind of fun though, running that like in front of the Skyliner.
I was about to
There's a lot
say,
of
I
people
do
there.
like that. Like the
Yeah.
park entrance area is a
Yeah,
lot of fun
that's
running
fun.
that area.
'Cause there's a
And
lot
it's
of
like
people
wide
there.
open too. So
Yeah, because tons of people there. So you run that, and then of course running like, of course, along the little waterway there behind the boardwalk.
you
villas
got
and
that
stuff.
wide opening, and then it gets to the most
Gets
narrow
super
part
skinny.
Of the course.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, you're just like, at that point, you're just like, just get me done. You're just like, let's go.
Yes.
Then you try and get on the boardwalk and
That's
see
the most fun
everybody.
part, because that's where you actually see like spectators.
Yeah,
you know?
and
Like,
that's
the best.
And if you have a cheer squad, that's a great place for your cheer squad to kind of catch you and give you a hug to get you to the finish. Jason, Veronica hooked me up with a Uncrustable. God bless them. Almost choked on it, but I didn't care at that point. It was so
all
good.
of them. I mean, like,
Oh,
I saw like Captain Bankhead was
Yes.
out there, Teresa, Florence, so many.
Yeah.
Like
Molly was there.
I can't
down by
even
the
name
Cake
them all.
Bake
Molly
Shop.
was there. I can't
Yeah.
even name them all, man.
So many people. Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to say names because there's so many people out there. So just thank you to everybody who was out there, because I know cheering is so hard.
Dave and Eileen.
Yeah, Dave and Eileen, I'll tell you, because they've been there. They inspired me at the very beginning before I ever ran a marathon, because I know Dave did. And I told him way back in the day, like, I can't do this. And he was one of the very first people who said, you could run a marathon. And I was like, you're crazy. I remember telling him that. I was like, you are crazy. Because he's been with us, again, from way back in the day. But he told me I could. And he's one of the reasons I did. So
what happened to the course at the end? What changed?
So I don't know. But then, so you still go back out in front of Epcot on that road and kind of go back up over that last little bridge where you got to go up that sharp turn and then up the hill and then back in.
Oh, yeah.
But they just take it. They really want to use like the front of Epcot now. Like where they did all that remodeling and stuff with the Walt
all the
statue.
work they put all that money
exactly.
into it.
They really
Right?
want you to run through that. They keep running like all four
come on.
races.
I mean, it
went
is
through
really
there.
pretty though.
It is,
yeah.
but who cares? You're running through it. Like you're not stopping too much. I guess some people do. But like you ran through there all 4 days. And then of course you run through like, past like Connections and Creations shop and over towards Mission Space and then out by Test Track. And then in the back, it's got that little stretch back there by Guardians of the Galaxy.
By Guardians.
Yep. And then you got that little stretch where the choir is, and then you go up the chute, right? But you don't run World Showcase. And that was everybody's biggest complaint, is that on marathon, especially marathon, that's kind of like your victory lap, right? Is World Showcase. Like you come in at England, you make that right turn, and because you can actually see it kind of all unfolding in front of you in World Showcase. Like you come in England, you make the right turn, and you get to run all of World Showcase, and they got that like epic sound playing. Like it's not normal music; it's just booming in Epcot that day. Yeah, it's
so good.
It's so loud. They got the torches lit even in the day.
Spectators, all the day guests cheering you
yes.
on, and like, or people that have finished that came back into the park cheering you on, and like. I'm very positive. I'm a very positive person, but that does disappoint me a little bit that they would take that part of the course away. Because it is you're right. It's the victory lap.
It is your victory
You've done
lap.
25 some miles, and like now this is like you're just like, oh my God, I did it. I got 1 mile to go. Like I'm just gonna take this awesome lap around here with the torches on and this music. It's always where I would call my mom too. I always call my mom. Like it's a bad thing to do, right? We're like. The first year I did, like, hey mom, your son's about to become a marathoner, and like, what if I tripped like right after that?
Dude, we're dragging your carcass across. We're dragging your bib across that thing, and you're going to still be a marathoner. That's what's going to happen.
Unfortunately, I have seen someone like fall really bad, like in that stretch, and had to like bring help, which is really unfortunate. I mean, it's unfortunate anytime it happens on the course, but that's kind of a bummer. I mean, I like most of these course changes; they sound interesting for someone that's done it a lot, right? But like, that's a bummer at the end.
You try things, right? I mean, because what they did was they gave us World Showcase early. They gave us like right off the bat World Showcase, because I think that they wanted to try this thing where they run us in front of the Grand Floridian and alongside,
I wonder if it's a day guest thing.
I think it is, because what it did, it got everybody in and out of the Magic Kingdom way earlier, is what I think is if I had to think about operationally, we were way in and out of the Magic Kingdom earlier, which is probably operations, right? because we went to
Or
there
even like
soon.
at Epcot, like I've seen people like get upset, like being held, like they can't
Yeah,
cross the
yeah.
pathway because there's runners coming. So if you just bought a ticket and you're having your vacation day, and like, what the heck's going on? I wonder if that's part of the reason too, to move the World Showcase piece out of there.
Well,
I don't know.
and the race started at 4:30 in the morning. I mean, I was done at 9:20.
I mean,
looked
yeah, I remember I
down.
got the alert because
Yeah, it was 9. I couldn't believe it. It was 9:20 or something like that.
Most
I mean,
years
it was.
I'm not even halfway done yet.
I was like, dude, I can't. But because I thought the race started at 5. I forgot the race started at 4:30. Like, it was weird. It was wild. And that's probably it though, because guests get mad. I didn't. Yeah, you're right.
I think too, what it is too is transportation.
Yeah, that's
like that impacts it even more than the guest being upset. I think is the transportation whole system is just
it has
mess. Trouble recovering.
It is. It's
well, Epcot opens up later that day too. Like on Marathon Sunday, it opens at 10.
Yeah,
the park. So you finished in the Epcot wasn't even open for another half hour.
But there were people in there though. Like I thought it opened at 10, but I finished at like 9 something. There were people in there cheering. So I don't know how those people were in there. There were people yelling and cheering. Maybe it was early park entry. I was
been holding for rope drop or something.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but there were people in there. Here's the thing: like, you came in England, right? Like we always do, like by that red phone booth. We always go in that way, right? That gate.
Yep.
But instead of turning right to go, we went left, and then just went like past that old Starbucks or whatever that's now like an ice cream shop.
Yeah.
And then up towards Future. I'm still calling Future World, and then finish that way. Now, so when I finished though, I did come back because again, it's kind of our tradition, right? That you go back, you collect your medals and all that stuff, but it's always fun because you want to still go in and cheer because runner or not, one of the coolest things, I swear to you, even if you're not a runner, one of the coolest things you can ever do, and I saw this with guests who I know are not runners, they get caught up in this. Watch the end of a marathon. It is the coolest thing ever because you're going to see people that never thought they could finish a marathon, and you see them at mile 25.5 coming through Epcot, and I swear it'll change your heart. It'll change you because you see these people of all shapes, sizes, colors, beliefs, whatever. It doesn't matter because a marathon doesn't care about what you believe, what you look like, what color you are, what shape you're in. It's about your heart. It's about what determination you have and what grit you have. And these people, if you're making it to 25.5, they got through it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't lie. The marathon doesn't lie. And you see these people coming through and they have tears coming down. Some people you can tell, man, they're struggling. I mean, people are limping, people are crying, people are, they're hurting, but some people are happy. So you won't punch those people in the nose. People that are doing jumps, like, stop, no.
No, because they conserve their energy well during the race.
Yeah, exactly. I got to say,
like I saw Lonnie's daughter do a cartwheel at mile 26, which I thought was awesome.
Okay, well, Pam knows Buck. Buck. He's one of our agents, Jonathan Buckley. Dude, he's coming through. Give me a bear hug. About broke me in half. Dude, I love the guy. He's like, I mean, if you had, he's positively personified. Like positivity personified. This guy, I told him, I want to be a Buckley when I grow up. Like, his kids are amazing. He's amazing. He's putting so much good out in the world in Minnesota every single day. He is just, he's an amazing dude. But dude, he's coming down the chute and I yell out his name, Buck. Dude, he had so much energy still. I'm like, what are you, like, I'm thinking to myself, dude, you're at the end of a marathon. You're at the end of Dopey. Like, what's going on?
I think sometimes it's just that crowd. The spectators get you like a jolt though. Cause like it happens to me every year too. Like I feel like it's my most energized is like that last mile, honestly.
It was so, but
I mean, I'm not running the whole thing like you are. So.
But but as a spectator though, because I love going back in because I think I enjoy watching everybody come in just as much as I did crossing the line, because you just don't know what you're going to see, like you see some friends come in on the course, right? I saw, Kimberly Markey and, other folks, come through and you give people high fives, but you give strangers high fives, like you just see somebody, you have no idea who they are. You'll never see them again the rest of your life, but you just give somebody a high five and, you just have that, you just like look at each other like you're a marathoner, you don't know, maybe it's their 12th marathon, but you know what? That's going to be their first marathon. They're going to be a marathoner in 10 minutes. For the rest of their lives. It's just, I love it, man. So if you ever get a chance, go see a marathon. So great weather was great. It was awesome. I just want to real quick talk about the expo. I don't want to be negative, but man, they gotta fix the merchandise stuff.
Every year.
So this year, the hot item was the Dopey Challenge. Like it always is, the Dopey Challenge jacket or hoodie or whatever it is. This year, they didn't have a jacket. They had a hoodie for the Dopey Challenge. And the only people that got it were people that were Club Run Disney, and only the people that were Platinum Club Run Disney, I heard, is what that was. And a few
So
select
that's not
people.
the sweatshirt you were wearing then? No.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
But I'm
okay.
not Club Run Disney. I had somebody that was in the mix for me.
Fair enough.
I want to. He knows who.
Why
he
don't
was,
they
and I
just
appreciate
take
it.
orders before?
Yes.
Thank you. That was what I was going to say.
Wouldn't that
So
just-
is it that hard? I mean,
Wouldn't that
for
help with your
real. Are we
logistics?
brain surgeons?
6+ months. Take the orders.
Thank you.
Go
Thank you.
ahead and do it, and then you don't. First of all, they would know how much to produce. And you
Amen.
wouldn't have to find it at the outlet afterwards, right? Because
Right.
some of those things go for super cheap afterwards. Secondly, you wouldn't need all that staff because
Right.
you have to
You
have
can just go
people
pick up your
ushering people
bag.
store, setting up lines, reminding people not to be a jerk. There's a job for everyone, right? You don't have to worry about having cashiers because you've already paid for it. You've paid for it via their online system. Come on now. How can a company that's so smart and has innovation in so many areas not solve this issue?
I 100% agree. And pre-orders is simple, right? It's so simple. And the thing is too, I mean, another thing I think is that if you register for the marathon, right? Just if you're just running the marathon, which is a big deal, like if you're just running the 10K, if you're just running the Dopey, whatever you sign up for, you should be entitled to one of those items for that event. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're signed up for the Dopey Challenge, you get to buy one Dopey Challenge hoodie. If you're signed up for the 10K, you get to buy one 10K item because you
And they
are
can
entitled
gatekeep
to that.
that.
Yeah, they could gatekeep that because you could show your
Because they
bib
do
at
for
checkout.
DVC items.
You could just show
like
your
if
bib
you
at
want to
checkout.
order them, you have to input credentialing that shows it. And AP, I mean, come on now.
Yeah. They
Yeah,
just
it's the pre-order thing for me because then you can they know exactly the quantities they need to make.
Mhm.
Like what you register for this race 9 months ahead of time. I mean, for crying out loud.
Agreed.
Like, oh, it just
Make it simpler for everybody. Just
and they would sell
make it,
more stuff.
and make
probably.
it. It's right 100% because it's not such a hassle. Think of the people who are just like, I'm not doing that. I will tell you, I am a consumer of the highest level, right? I love to buy things. But the thing I don't like is having to be a hassle, standing in line to pay for something. To me, I'm like 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be like, you know what? This is not worth it. It's not worth my time. It's not worth my money. It's not worth any of this. There are plenty of things to spend money on. Make it easy for me.
Well,
I'll do it.
Well, like I tell everybody, I'm a buyer. I'm not a shopper. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean,
Right.
for
Yes.
because my birthday's the end of November, Christmas. And when people don't know what to get me, they always know I'm going to marathon weekend in January. So they always get me Disney gift cards. So that's why I always have like a hat or a jacket because that's what I use my Christmas gift cards on is marathon weekend. And, you know, but I go in and I don't want to shop. I just zoom through and I see, oh, that's a cool looking hat. Get that jacket. Okay, I can get that. And, you know, that's what I use. So I'm like, that was my Christmas present from my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, you know, and I'll combine it together. And I, you know, when I get back, I show it to him. I said, this is what you got me for Christmas. Thank you. And, but yeah, so, I mean, when they brought out this is what and this is confirmed by many people. When they brought out a rack of those Dopey jackets or Dopey hoodies, they actually had to bring out 5 security guards to like surround the cast members as they rolled out the cart to put them on the floor. Like that's how insane this is getting. That they have to keep their cast members like surrounded by security just to get stupid hooded sweatshirts out. Like this is not a hard problem to solve. And I'm not a negative person. This is just
that would
such a
just come
simple
complimentary
solution.
with the race sometimes too, right? Like a lot of these places, like will give you like the commemorative like jacket. I know we get the shirts, I guess, but like it's just funny. You think everyone would get one of those almost?
Yeah, Yeah,
how
but I
much we
mean, even
pay.
so, as Disney fans, we all know we'd pay for it. I mean, we're dopes like that. We would. And the thing is, like, it's an easy solution. And the whole thing is like, it's the only negative thing that I heard all weekend. Like, like, let's solve this problem and not have any negativity for the whole weekend because,
Right.
like I had my hoodie on, which I was, again, thank you to, I don't want to say his name, but he was very kind to text me and say he would get me one. I appreciate it so very much. Amazing person in the Disney community. And I'm very proud to call him a friend. But it's one of those things that, like, I had it on because, to be honest, it was super cold and I didn't bring a hoodie, and like I wore it because it had a hood and I could put it up at night in the parks where my ears had something over it, because I had a stocking cap, but it was Mizzou and it didn't match anything. It's black and gold. So I wore it, but then like I felt bad because people were like, "Oh, you got one." I'm like, "No, yeah, I did get one." But I
You
mean,
weren't
like,
trying to troll people.
no, I wasn't trying to troll
necessarily,
people, but I mean, I did. I mean, I was glad that I had one, but I wish everybody had one. Like, it shouldn't be that way. Like, like it shouldn't be like a status symbol. Like, everybody should have had a dopey sweatshirt. Like, I wish though, it's like, I want to buy the world a Coke. I want to buy the world a dopey sweatshirt. Like, it's a sweatshirt, it's like,
Yeah.
it's not a
They're-
fancy item. It's just a hoodie.
All
it's-
their merchandising items, though, like they finally did fix like a lot of the popcorn bucket issues because they would allow you to mobile order them and then go and pick them up. But do you remember, it was just craziness. I really don't understand why this is the case, that we can't fix this. Like, there is a way to fix it.
Well, I mean, they went to the
there is.
virtual queue, which is the biggest hassle in the world. You would have thought that would have solved the problem, right? Why are we doing
No,
this
because they
virtual
still
queue
allow
thing?
people to buy an unreasonable amount of them.
Exactly, because
Without
You can buy
having-
two of one size. and then-
100%.
Yep.
And they let people who aren't even running the races
That's
join
100%
the
it. Yeah.
virtual queue as well.
Mhm.
And I'm saying, like, why do this? Like, why are they allowed to? That doesn't make any sense
No.
either.
Yeah, it's just one of those things.
I
Like,
can't make it make sense.
So what
No,
they're doing
you
is,
can't. Like, you're like trying to figure out a way to make it make sense.
I mean, it's
It doesn't.
capitalism is what it is. But I mean, it's just, but it's unethical, because what they're doing is they're buying Club Run Disney Platinum memberships as, I mean, they're making money on it, right? They're buying it. They're getting in that queue. They're scooping up all the merchandise. They're going and putting it on eBay, and they're making a killing on it. I mean, and it's totally worth the investment. They're flipping it. I mean, it's exactly what they're doing, and it's just how the system works. But Disney, I mean, the thing is, like, everything about Marathon Weekend was awesome. This is not a negative thing, but this is one thing that's a problem that could be easily solved. And I think that it was the only thing that I heard that was the runners were consistently negative on, was the expo and the merchandise. But, I always say, if there's something negative, offer a solution. And this is our solution that we've had for years that could easily be solved. So I hope Run Disney, they're not going to listen to us, but I hope that this does get solved, because I just think that, not necessarily for me, but if you're running your first dopey, or if you're running your first marathon, every person that ran that first dopey should be able to wear a dopey hoodie on the plane home. Like, that's what makes me madder than anything. That's what makes me
Agreed.
so mad, is that somebody that ran their first dopey, like, if they're a school teacher, they should be able to wear that hoodie back on their first day back at school.
And a lot of first timers don't even know that the process of how insane it is to even
Well,
get
who
it,
would
too.
think it would be
Yeah.
like this,
So-
right?
Yeah, so if you're doing the marathon, you probably show up on Friday or Saturday to the expo, and then everything's already, like, the whole warehouse is cleaned out basically at that point.
Well,
It's
and
just-
I will, the other thing I will encourage people to do is, if you have a negative experience because of that, reach out using that guest services form that is on the Walt Disney World site, because they do read all of those and they should hear about this. Like, it shouldn't be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. Other companies figure out a different way of doing things. It can be done.
But it was a great race weekend. I mean, really, the races were fun. Coronado Stay was fun. Just
I know we're long, but how about that Lizard meetup? Like,
Oh, yeah.
met some listeners there too, and
Dude.
big turnout.
Yeah, shout out to Craig again, because I was on the monorail getting ready with the Polynesian, and he hopped off at the Contemporary. I was thinking, dude, why is he getting off at the Contemporary? And the meet got moved to the Contemporary, which I didn't check Facebook. And so he's like, dude, the doors are closing. Why are you staying on? I was like, going to the meetup. It's here. So I jumped off, and bam, it was in the outer room again.
You didn't lose any limbs doing that? Like, the door didn't shut
No.
on you?
And it
Like,
was Saturday, so that'd have been bad because it was before the full. So yeah, again, we took over the outer rim, just table by table, had the whole place, and it was just awesome as always. And we got a big
Very
picture in
cool.
front of the big mural.
Oh.
I never did get to see this.
I never saw a photo of that. Yeah.
Somebody took one, I think, like in panoramic mode, which I want to see. It was like a special effect. I never did get to see that picture, by the way. It was, or else he was just maybe only taking a picture of the mural and not us. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
it was just some guy.
So, I don't know who took that. He was doing something with it. It was a cool looking video or picture that he was taking. It was because he made us stay one more time. If anybody has that picture, let me know because I want to see it. But yeah, it was a great meetup, and then everybody kind of went their separate ways to get ready for the marathon on Sunday. But yeah, it was just one of those things like marathon weekend. It's weird, right? Because you got to kind of pace yourself. You don't want to kill yourself in the parks, which I really did this time. I took it easy because I didn't feel the pressure of like trying to like catch up with like, Scott, like be it, trying to get over to wherever you're staying at your hotel or catching up with Wade or, making it to all the, I totally just kind of chilled out at Coronado and went into the parks a little bit. I did renew I upgraded to an annual pass, so I'm good for the next 365 days. I was right on that borderline, so yep, I'm an AP holder, so I got that. Yeah, so there you go. So are you here's my question. Are you thinking about doing it next year?
Yeah.
Scott.
You asking me or Pam?
You.
Pam, I will say no.
I didn't think Pam was, but are you?
I mean, I'm thinking about it. Mike.
Okay.
Thinking
All
about
right.
it. I mean, I know the thing is like the race is done and registration is probably going to be like in 3 or 4 months from now. So yeah, you got to decide soon.
You do have to. So, all right, think about it. All right. So we'll talk more about it though on Sunday night. So everybody will call in with their thoughts on marathon weekend and what they experienced at their hotel and the corrals on the course. Cause there's just so much. I mean, we just barely, I did want to talk about this real quick. Cause Scotty G, I bet you there's still people that don't know this, by the way. I bet you there's still, cause I had no clue. And I saw this on Facebook. There's a ton of people that had no idea. So if you ran the Dopey Challenge, I was on the bus going back to Coronado. I'm getting ready to go home. Getting ready to go back to Coronado to get my stuff from Bell Services to go to the airport. I had on my medal, and Scott texts me. He's like, "Spin your medal." I'm like, "Okay." So
you're like, "It doesn't."
I'm like, "Dude, it's not a spinner." I'm like, "It says something on the back. It says Marathon Weekend 2025. Kind of cool, but kind of boring." But I'm like, "Dude, it's not a spinner. It doesn't spin." He's like, "Spin your medal." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "It does something." Then he sent me this picture. So if you ran the Dopey Challenge and you haven't figured this out yet, you can slide the Dopey Challenge medal.
Oh, it's a slide, not a spin.
It's a slider, and it says finisher under it with Dopey, which is dope. This is a sweet medal. I didn't know that though. And we were carrying these things around for like a day before I think 50% of the people, maybe. Troy said, I saw Troy, he had no clue his did this either. But I bet you there were a good ton of people that had no idea that was under there. I just wonder why this sucker was so heavy. This thing is like weighs a ton. But I had no idea that was under there. So shout out to Scott for letting me know that it did something.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
makes that medal even cooler now.
Yeah, there you go. So if you have a Dopey medal, slide it. And it'll say finisher under it. So pretty cool. All right. So Wade says March 11th is your registration date. So
I mean, I did miss being there. I mean, I do enjoy it. I mean, the marathon is kind of brutal, but there's something about that achievement. And I think I've done 7 of them, and I've always. It's funny, Wade is in here. I think I've told this to Wade. Like, I want to do one more for time. Like, I want to have a good one. Like, I want to beat my PR, which is the 2016 one I did with you. I want to train actually for one of these and do good. I want to have one for fun where I'm just like goofing off, trying to do character photos, wear a fun costume. Then I want to be my last one. So those are my. So I got like 3 more. So will one of them be next year? Maybe.
Stand by. All right.
And then I'll do those 3, and then I'm like, okay, let's do 5 more.
Exactly. All right. So we'll talk about it on Sunday night. So join us 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, or Twitch. But give us a call and share your experiences from Marathon Weekend. We'll talk about it Sunday night. The phone lines will be open. But until then, we're going to jump out of here. Don't forget our show is always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan an amazing Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney vacation for no additional cost to you. So check out all the details today over at the Magic for Less Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys make the show possible. Couldn't do it without you. And you can support us as well, just $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd love to have you. Patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Give us a follow this week on the social media. I'm at beourguestmike, and I've got all the pictures and videos from Marathon Weekend over there on Instagram, so check those out. You can check out Scott on the socials at epscott, EPSCOT, and check out his YouTube channel at Must See Adventure. Scott, real quick, what's going on over there on the YouTube channel?
Disneyland Paris. We're off. We're finally off Anthem of the Seas. It felt like that took like 6 months or something. 2 weeks on Anthem of the Seas, and since we're already that far, we might as well go to Disneyland Paris. So it's our travel day. It's a long day of logistics from getting back to London, getting on the Eurostar, then taking a car. Because you get to Paris, you're like, oh, Disneyland Paris is here. Wrong. You got to go a little bit to still get to Disneyland Paris. So it's a fun day, and we do go into the parks and watch their incredible drone and fireworks show. So it's a fun one to watch.
All right, so check that out. It Must See Adventures over on YouTube. And while you're there, subscribe and like the video while you're watching that. That would help grow the channel. Also, check out Pam, TMFLT Pam, on the socials as well. All right, until we get back together on Sunday night and light up those phone lines, let's talk some Disney. We're going to have a good time. So until then, for Pam and Scott, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Friday and an awesome weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.